This brings us to public comment. This is regarding items on the agenda only at this time. Anybody wish to speak? This on the agenda item? Okay.
They did it on purpose.
My name is Ben Goff. I'm going to live at
Agenda item.
And I knew what was on the agenda. And so it begins. The Tuesday night BOCC agenda shows reappointments to the Board of Planning for both districts 4 and 2. In keeping with the tradition of go along to get along, both of the commissioner-elects for the 2 districts were persuaded to reappoint the current members to another term. Although this is keeping with the rule, it is a gross slap in the face to those that may have been less inclined and just as qualified to make judgments in favor of sitting commissioners. I specifically refer to the representative for District 2, as he is related to and employed by the commissioner for District 3. And so it appears that our newly elected commissioner for District 2 will carry on the tradition of get along and go along, or go along to get along, whichever way you will put it. Also during the meeting, there will be appointments made to the PSA board, 1 commissioner and 2 citizens. Last time, Mr. Casey from District 5 was appointed as one of the citizens. It will be interesting to see if he is appointed again as a representative commissioner. Keep in mind that 3 cities each have 2 representatives on the PSA board already, and the 2 largest unincorporated areas typically have no representation. So it would make sense that some representative from those unincorporated areas would be appointed. Regardless of what happens, the PSA will probably continue to bumble along with regards to the unincorporated county parks. And believe it or not, there are those, including our brand new retread county administrator, who believes that the PSA is a governmental agency and subject to intergovernmental agreements. And in some cases, part of the county, as the mayor of St. Mary's recently stated, PSA is a public corporation and contractor to the cities and counties as so chosen. Where is the legislatively required contract? On top of all of this, we continue to see tax dollars flow out to support attorneys' fees for the follies of our commission and the county administrator, past and present. Remember the gun range also. And believe it or not, it's a long time till 2024. Happy New Year.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else registered? Anybody from the public wish to speak? Okay, seeing none, we need to adjourn the regular meeting and convene a public hearing.
I make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene a public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Good evening, Commissioners, and Happy New Year to everyone. I have an item here to request for rezone 1.1 acres from commercial general to single-family residential. Along with this will be a future land use from commercial to residential. This property is located at 264 Kinlaw Road in Woodbine. This parcel previously was used as a commercial for years, and the owner has discontinued that business and would like to make it residential. So Planning Commission recommends approval.
Anybody got any questions for Joey? At this time, we need to ask the public, anybody wish to speak in favor of this?
Lucia Dawson from Kingsland. We're here to agree on the fact about these rezoning of the property on Kinlaw Road.
Thank you. Anybody wish to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none, we need to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, you back up, Joey.
Yes, sir. I have a request to rezone 1.1 acres from commercial general to single-family residential. And along with this will be a future land use change from commercial to residential. This property is located at 264 Kinlaw Road in Woodbine. Planning Commission recommends approval.
Can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next up is Julie.
Good evening, Commissioners. I would like to request permission to submit a grant to GMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program in the amount of $250,435. These funds will be used to hire a consultant to create a stormwater management plan. The consultant will provide the following services: assessment of existing conditions, facility inventory and mapping updates, identify capital improvement projects needed, cost estimating and financial planning, necessary future updates to existing cross pipes, culverts, and bridges, and a preventative maintenance program. The grant does require a 10% match. A portion of the required $25,000 will come from the grants match special appropriation line item and in-kind later from county staff. At this time, I'm requesting approval to submit the grant as presented.
Okay, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve the grant application.
I second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. All right, this brings us to Public Works. We're going to spend some more money.
Yes, sorry. Good evening, Commissioners. The agenda tonight is for the approval to purchase aggregate and base material for the unpaved road buildup and stabilization. This has been something that we've been working on for the last 14 months. The funding source would be ARPA for $400,000. Originally, we discussed that in one of our open budget meetings. There currently is $1 million of ARPA funds that are uncommitted at this time. We have used $400,000 already, and that's already accounted for out of the ARPA. So our unpaved roads require consistent maintenance, and depending on the weather conditions, the roads can be very rough to drive. When it's dry, it's sandy and they get stuck. When it's wet and muddy, they're stuck. A lot of times relying on our citizens to pull other drivers out. Heavy rain events cause washouts on the roads and result in sediment and sand being washed into the stormwater drainage system. So over the last 14 months, we've completed 42 roads for 45.03 miles. Those roads have been improved with $700,000, which is a combination of, we use SPOS 7 funds of $300,000 towards the end of SPOS 7, and then the first $400,000 from the ARPA funds. Of those roads that have been improved, the motor grading service calls and road complaints have decreased tremendously. Our citizens are, being able to get home all the time. They don't have to fear if there's a weather event. Paving costs right now over $1 million per mile. So we're averaging about $15,000 per mile of the road base and aggregate by building up these roads and creating a better road for them to drive on. I've called sources. CMEX has been giving us the limestone and lime rock, and it has been very, very good. And then obviously Martin Marietta has always provided us with number 4 and GAB, and we've actually sourced some limestone base from them as well. So at this time, I am asking for $400,000 to continue this project and continue working on building up the roads.
I think you've done a good job on this so far, so.
I can vouch for that, definitely living on a dirt
Get
road
left.
in an unincorporated area. I haven't received a negative, bad call in several months now. Thank you.
Yes,
No.
yes, sir.
Can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Can you get a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, this brings us to reappointment to the Camden County Planning Commission for District 4. Can I get a motion on this item?
Make a motion, we table that for a period of 1 month.
Okay, do you want to open up for
Yes, I do.
more applicants?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. Can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, now we did reappointment to the Planning Commission for District 2. Get a motion on that out.
I asked that we table that as well. And I guess go ahead and leave it for a month and then,
You want to open that application up as well?
yes.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. This brings us to the appointment of the Camden County Public Service Authority Board. The commissioners need to appoint one commissioner and 2 citizens to this board. We'll entertain motions for the commissioner first. And I've served as a citizen for the past 3 years. Commissioner Brandt has been on that board for how many years now?
5.
5 years. One problem with the PSA is the way the legislation is written now, you have a large amount of turnover. All the citizen appointees are up for renewal. So you might want to consider reappointing somebody that's already been on there. But, if we want to go a different route and appoint a new commissioner to it, that's fine. So this time, can I get a motion for somebody for the PSA board from the commissioners?
Is it a nomination? Is
A
it?
nomination.
Yeah, you are.
I'd like to nominate June Maxwell.
No, this is for
No,
the commissioners.
This is for the commission.
Oh.
You currently serve in that capacity.
We'll get to the citizens in a minute.
I don't have one.
I make a motion to reappoint Commissioner Brandt as our representative.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Brian, maybe.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. All right, this time we'll entertain a motion for one of the citizen appointments.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ben Goff as our citizen
I second.
appointment.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? We got 2 for. All those opposed? 3 opposed. Can we get another nomination?
Sorry, Ben. I nominate June Maxwell.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We need another citizen. Can I get a motion for appointment for another citizen?
Motion to appoint Ben Goff.
Second.
All right, we got a first and a second on Ben Goff. Those in favor? Those opposed?
Sorry again, Ben.
All right, we need to come up with another name.
I'm trying to find it. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Pages are these applications start on?
They're down at the bottom.
24.
I would nominate Lee Depew.
He just got appointed to the planning commission.
Oh, he did?
No, we didn't.
Or,
Hey.
sorry, no.
No.
Okay, he applied,
And I withdraw it.
didn't he apply for the planning commission though?
He did.
Okay.
But his name's on
Sorry.
here too. so-
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's withdrawn.
Okay. Hmm.
I nominate James Smith.
Can we get a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Motion carried. We have new members. All right, this brings us to the reports. Anything on the calendar, Katie?
To the calendar at this time.
Comments from the county administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just like to congratulate each of you, and to the two new commissioners, I look forward to working with each of you, getting to know you, and to the full board, look forward to kicking off this year to a great start. We got a lot of wonderful strategic planning items that we've been working on over the last couple weeks. Also wanted to highlight our community efforts throughout the big Arctic blast that we had right at Christmas. So Commissioner Turner, you were very instrumental in that process, and EMA, the sheriff's office staff, several of our local churches, nonprofit organizations, and several citizens. Actually too many to list. I'd just like to recognize all of their efforts because we were able to house 15 individuals who needed a place to shelter in a warm capacity. They were able to do that throughout that full timeline where, we had temperatures dropping down actually into the single digits at times. So I'd just like to recognize our community efforts on that. I think it was a well-organized effort, and we appreciate everybody's input and just their time and dedication, especially during a big holiday season. So thank you.
Thank you. I would like to make a comment about the PSA. I know the PSA has been behind the ball on the audits, but the audits are done. They were done in December, but the audit firm couldn't come down to present them, and they're supposed to be presented at the next PSA meeting.
Yes.
This time, can I get anybody wish to address the
Yes, I have
board?
a written comment that was submitted, and then I have one person registered.
Okay.
The first comment I would like to present is Jessica Feely on behalf of the NAACP Camden branch. And this is an announcement regarding an event they have coming up. The Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Unity March is Monday, January 16th, 2023. The march will begin at 10 a.m. at the Kingsland Lions Park on South Grove Boulevard and proceed to the Kingsland train station at 440 South Lee Street in Kingsland for refreshments and a program in the theater. Mistress of Ceremonies is Kizzy Knight, Mayor of Woodbine. Keynote speaker is Welton Coffey II, Camden County High School Athletic Director. Everyone in the community is welcome to participate, including individuals, families, organizations, and churches. The NAACP Camden County branch is hosting this event, and more information is available on the branch website at www.naacpcamdenga.org. And I will add this to your calendars too, so you are reminded of the event if you'd like to attend.
Thank you, Kate.
And the first person I have registered, actually the only for this section, is Mr. Manning, Ricky Manning.
Here's the book I was handed when I got in, which I've done aware of. Anyway, this is the environmental and assessment for their gun range. So once again, I'm here to request that the board take action on the noise from the gun range, because this here is a joke. That gun range is just disrupting our livelihood, disturbing our pets and our wildlife. We, along with the board, were told through this book that the location and design of the range would present no problems. Of course, all of this is false, as there is no noise suppression built into the design, and the problem has gotten worse over time. If any of y'all care to, most every morning you will find me sitting on my porch at Bullhead, drinking coffee, reading my Bible, and eating pound cake. I used to be able to sit there with my two faithful companions in the chair next to me, but not anymore, as I now have one that has to be forced outside due to the gunshots echoing. Even then, he has panic attacks and has to keep on medication during the day to carry him out to do his business. This is the medication for treatment of noise aversion in dogs. It all costing me $48 and some change every month because of that gun range. And due to the board refusing to correct their mistakes, my already tight budget is getting tighter. Now let us take a look at the disappearance of the bald eagles and ospreys and swallowtail kites. Another bunch of crap in here that they did not research. I watch them for years. I've lived out there forever. They're gone. Their nesting sites are there for many years. There are laws in the state and federal that protects these species from disturbing these nesting sites. Yet the board ignores this also. This range was approved under falsehoods, misleading data, and regards to the noise aversion effects of the citizens and pets. That's all this that's in here that we paid for. I'm aware there's a Georgia law that protects existing ranges from liability, but will it protect Camden when the initial approval was done under misleading data and input? Will the permit be considered null and void? Camden cannot hide under these Georgia statutes, as they set precedent and ignored it when a concerned citizen led a charge and the board forced the old range into closure for the exact same reason. So why not, let's talk to this citizen and have his comments on the board on the problem with range and zero noise control. Well, we need to look no further. That person is sitting right there in the chairman's chair. Yes, the same person that approved the new range with zero falsified data and zero noise control design. Same person, and I'll make another quote by Mr. Casey. Ricky Manning, this was discussed at the annual strategic planning, as I said it would be, and I thank you for discussing it. But however, there is not enough support among the commissioners, end quote. So once again, commissioners, I promptly asked you to fix the mistake that you approved here locally in-house, so this problem does not move forward to state and federal levels. The actions of the board, both past and present, have already made the case. Range was wrongfully approved, and Camden has set a precedent as to not being allowed protection under Georgia range laws. Next meeting, we'll discuss the range costs to the taxpayers that are not out there in public for the taxpayers to see. All this to fulfill your desires to have a gun range and open a business with Camden taxpayers. Each of you ran as conservative Christians by your words, yet your actions tell a different story. You seek office for prestige, limelight, and power to fulfill your own desires, not to serve the people. You constantly retreat to executive sessions to hide your intent under the cover of darkness, like a thief in the night. But as we all know, all things will eventually come to light. This board has become a group of modern-day Pharisees, seeking their own desires. So when you leave these chambers tonight, I want each of you to go home, open your Bibles, and look at the book of Luke, chapter 12, and sleep on those first 3 verses. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Ricky, I would like to, about 2 months ago, I was at my brother's house who lives right across the street from you. I heard the pop, 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 like you're talking about. I'd like to come out there and sit on your porch with you and listen for the same thing. Cause it wasn't very loud at all when I was out there. I'm the one that said that in the strategic planning meeting. No, I'll come to your house. I'd rather go to your house. But I'm not questioning what you heard, but I'd say I want to come out there and sit with you. Okay? Okay. I'm diabetic. I can't eat pound cake, but I will drink a cup of coffee with you. Mr. Chairman. I couldn't tell you. That's the reason I said I want to come out
All right,
there and
that's
sit down.
enough comments from the, if you want to speak, come up to the podium.
I'm still Bill Goff. I'd like to point out that I believe I've heard in the same room that I should not address any commissioner except for the chairperson. I believe that's in fact been pointed out in the past. The same rules actually apply for that commissioner that wants to respond to someone in the audience. They should respond to the commission chairman. Thank you.
He asked me if he could speak, and I granted him that opportunity. Thank you. Mr. Goodman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I received the agenda on late Friday afternoon, and I noticed certain things in that list of contracts up for blanket renewal, I had some real trepidation about it.
Excuse me, it was not renewal, it's reaffirmed.
Reaffirm.
It's different.
Thank you very
Big
much.
difference.
And I accept that. I'm sorry for the miswording. To reaffirm those contracts, I had some real trepidation about it. I expressed that to Mr. Boatwright, and I expressed it to Mr. Casey, and some very, very good things happened. A procedure was worked out whereby we can have the time to breathe because it was a holiday weekend, and I was not inclined to take an oath swearing to do certain very, very proper things and then to be asked immediately to vote on things that I had no construct in. In other words, it was not something that was ever discussed with me. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Boatright. Now, at this point, I don't want to ask Mr. Boatright anything, but I want to say this. I asked him to remove all of the Spaceport Camden propaganda from the executive boardroom back there, and I hope it's removed, because if the public ever sees that, understanding that we've been told that the Spaceport issue, we're no longer paying these consultants. So I would like to make a motion that all Spaceport-related spending, including lawyers' fees, be totally killed, and to release all records, because the county right now can save $200,000 by simply releasing the information that is legally bound to be released under a FOIA relating to the request by 100 Miles, which is an environmental organization. So that if we do that, we begin immediately to heal the things that the citizens overwhelmingly voted me into office to do. And I think that other commissioners have heard various opinions, but none of them have been positive, as far as I know, related to the spaceport. So, you know, proper or improper, I'd like to put that motion on the floor. I'd also like to say that at the end of all of the city council meetings, that we were given a round robin opportunity to have comments, and I'd like to institute that as a matter of procedure. Let me restate the motion. That all spaceport-related spending, including lawyers, be terminated, and all records related to the spaceport be released to the public.
I'll second that motion for discussion.
Okay. You want to open it up for discussion?
Yeah, I was just, trying to figure out what, other than the litigation fees, I mean, those are the only fees we have ongoing, but how would we stop litigation fees unless we withdraw how many suits do we have going on? Three regarding the spaceport? Are we the defendant in how many of those?
I'm having difficulty hearing. Are you guys having problems hearing? Okay.
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Good. We're currently with the Supreme Court as the appellant in the lawsuit that Mr. Goodman filed, which I am not at liberty to discuss any more of those matters with Mr. Goodman present because he is a litigant. We have the UCC litigation in which we are engaged currently, and that's on hold pending the Supreme Court decision, which we expect by February. And we have joined in with the FAA in the litigation pending in Federal District Court in Washington, D.C., which is defending the issuance of the license. But we're basically just a seat at the table in that case. We're not a lead plaintiff. That would be the Department of Justice representing the Federal Aviation Administration. So we're just coattailing that. And there is the 100 Miles, I'm sorry, there was one other 100 Miles litigation, and that is a GORA litigation, Georgia Open Records Act, not FOIA, that relates to the real estate exception under the Georgia Open Records Act and certain email transmissions that they're trying to get their hands on, basically negotiations between parties that is protected under the Georgia Open Records Act. All of those actions basically are waiting on the Supreme Court decision.
Which basically we're waiting on the Supreme Court decision.
We have volunteered for some of those expenses as a body. We should not have volunteered for some of those expenses. We need to get out of them. There's no future in it. There's only expense for Camden County. Let's make a difference, gentlemen. Let's change the order of things. Every time I look at an organizational chart, depending, and it doesn't matter what form of government we have, the voters are at the very top of that chart. every time, consistently. I've got it in a book right up here. I can show it to you. We're ignoring that. The voters have told us what they wanted to do. They told us by 70% majority. Now we work for them. School's in session. Some of us are going to be tested 2 years from now. Others are going to be tested 4 years from now. There'll be a final exam. I don't want to fail it. I want to do what the constituents have put me here to do. And that is to make this make sense. It's not been making sense for a long time. I think we have a real opportunity. I sense a real professional spirit in Sean Boatwright. I'm very pleased to have affirmed my support for him. He's been nothing but responsive to me. Ben, I'm glad you're the chairman. I appreciate you. You've been very, very professional with me. So let's just pull this thing together now and get out of all these volunteer lawsuits and move forward. We have real needs in this county that we don't need to be spending lawyers' fees and ignoring the things that mental health concerns, road paving. We've got a big job ahead of us. We don't need to be wasting our time. So let's build a speculative building and attract some industry into this county. Industry begets industry. Let's get jobs that'll keep our people here and keep them employed and change the complexion of Camden County. I'm ready. So thank you for allowing me to bring that motion up, and thank you for opening it for discussion. I'd like to see us vote on this, and let's move forward.
Out of those 4 suits, how many different?
Can you hear him?
Out of those 4 suits, how many different outside attorneys do we have representing us in any of those?
We have currently 4 different sets.
4 different sets of attorneys? Okay. So it's not
Overlap.
it's not just one firm
Well, for
representing us?
example, the FAA litigation in DC is the same firm that represented us through the environmental impact process.
Okay.
Fire them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Fire those attorneys.
Well, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
What are we in favor of? Firing the attorney?
That's the beginning, Martin. Thank you. Martin's question is, what are we in favor of? You want me to restate the motion?
Sure.
Thank you. I'll restate the motion. I make a motion to end all spaceport-related spending, including lawyers, and release all records related to the spaceport to the public. Public's paying for it. Public deserves to see them. That's the motion.
I'd like to see them. I haven't seen a lot.
Hello.
I mean, I wonder if at this point, what are the legalities? I mean, you guys have filed some lawsuits. I don't like lawsuits, never have, but you've done it. I think you need to wait a few minutes to find out what the legal aspects are of this instead of, just jumping off the bridge as far as that goes. And I'm not talking about spaceport. I'm talking about the legalities of where we are, as far as county commissioners.
Now that you're a sworn county commissioner, you'll find out the truth.
Yeah.
But
Well-
before you couldn't.
Right. But I mean, in that respect, Laney,
Yeah.
I kind of agree with him, but I want everybody to know what's actually going on. I did when I was running for office, but I didn't know. And I wouldn't make a call based on information I didn't have. So I would like to know. I mean, I don't have the answers as far as the legal aspects of it. I do know there is a legal side to this. Am I correct, John?
That is correct. And Mr. Turner, I'll be glad to make myself available to you next week to be able to talk about these issues if you want to come sit with me.
I still am not going to make a decision based on no information. I can't. So give me the information.
Well, with that said, Mr. Goodman, do you want to table this until you and Mr. Martin can be filled in a little more?
I want to call the question. I think I know enough about it to know that it's a spaceport to nowhere, and we're spending money on something that will absolutely bankrupt us and produce no jobs. We've spent $12 million. We've paid certain individuals millions of dollars. I think it needs to end. So I just soon fail right now calling the question as to prolong the agony. I mean, if you want to think about this as throwing the gauntlet down, then I'm throwing it down. I'm willing to stake it. I believe in this, but we've got bigger and better things to do than this nonsense.
And you were part of the strategic planning process where we have looked at, or going to be looking at different things not related to the spaceport.
If you're intimating that the strategic planning process in any way gave me any kind of information, no, sir, I did not.
No, I'm not talking about information on spaceport, because that didn't really come up that much.
Well, why didn't it? It's a major
Did
part
you
of
bring
it.
it up?
I'm sorry?
Did you bring it up?
I was told that all of that had ceased, and yet we get this chart of reaffirmations that says it's a moving target, and I'm sorry, Katie, I understand that it was a challenge for you, and it was a moving target.
The affirmation part was kind of left over from the old administration. I think we're about supposedly one of the only counties in Georgia that does that kind of stuff. And there was errors on there, and we have made a commitment to go forward and clean that up and bring much more detail to those contracts going forward.
Okay. That's well and good. Thank you.
So we got a motion and a second. Those in favor? Got one.
Yeah.
Two. Those opposed? Motion failed.
Thank you.
All right. Now, this time we need to adjourn the regular meeting and go into an executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene in the executive session.
Second.
All those in favor? We already did that, sir.
You wasn't listening.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back.
hardware for IT-related upgrades in the amount of $43,914.72.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. All right. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Chairman, can I make one more motion to be my final one for tonight?
All right.
The public has lost trust in the Board of Commissioners because of the secrecy around all of the spaceport contracts and lawyers' dealings. This is our chance to amend for that and to save the taxpayers more legal fees in defending the county's violation of the Georgia Open Records Act. I make a motion that we simply release all the spaceport records to the public. And you ought to get on board with that.
Is it possible?
Let's find out.
I don't think it's possible right now during the ongoing litigation that's going on.
I'll second that motion for discussion.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I basically have said until I understand more and see more, I'm not making any kind of decision based on that. The whole time that I was running for office, most people thought that you guys were talking to me and you weren't. So I don't know. I mean, I know the $12 million that's involved there. In 7 years you spent it, but I would like to see records and I would like to have some information in front of me. And not just information from groups, information from the right people that have the right data. So, no, I won't second it.
If we release it, you can read it.
I'd like to see that, yeah. I mean, I'm not against that part. You got a point.
There are some non-disclosures that we have to consider too, isn't it? Some that we cannot.
Some of the non-disclosures are with people who no longer even exist.
I was going to say, aren't those void by now? Most of those?
You would be out of litigation if they were.
Well, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion fails. All right, now can we get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor of adjournment? You want to stay?
Yeah.
Those opposed? Trevor wants to stay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank y'all for attending.